Just wonder, does the gift tax IRS Form 79 only apply for parents to children or any donor to a recipient? The gift tax IRS Forms 79 applies to any donor who makes a gift to a recipient, not just parents to children. The gift tax applies to all gifts made during a calendar year, regardless of the relationship between the donor and the recipient. Under the current US tax law, any individual can give up to a certain amount of money to another person each year without incurring gift tax. This is known as the annual exclusion, and it applies to gifts made to anyone, whether they are a family member, friend, or acquaintance. 2023, the annual exclusion amount is $17,000 per recipient. If a donor gives a gift that exceeds the annual exclusion amount, they may be required to file a gift tax return using IRS Form 79. However, the gift tax generally only applies to very large gifts, as there is a lifetime gift tax exemption that allows individuals to make significant gifts over their lifetime without paying gift tax. IA 2022, the lifetime gift tax exemption is $12 million per person. For example, grandparents donate a cash gift to a grandchild. The gift tax still applies, right? Yes, if the gift from the grandparents to their grandchild exceeds the annual gift tax exclusion amount, the gift tax may apply. The current annual gift tax exclusion amount is $16,000 per recipient in tax year 2022. If the gift from the grandparents to their children exceeds the annual gift tax exclusion amount, the grandparents will need to file a gift tax return form 79 with the IRS. The gift tax return is used to report the gift and calculate any gift tax owed. However, it's important to note that the gift tax is generally only applied to very large gifts, as there is a lifetime gift tax exemption that allows individuals to make significant gifts over their lifetime without paying gift tax. The lifetime gift tax exemption for tax year 2022 is a $12 million per person. It's also worth noting that in some cases the grandchild may be responsible for paying any gift tax owed on the gift, not the grandparents. However, this can vary depending on the specifics of the situation, so it's always a good idea to consult with a tax professional to understand the potential tax implications of any gifts you give or receive. Also, if a poor child GoFundMe to crowdfund his/her cause, does this gift tax still apply? In general, a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for a specific individual is considered a gift and may be subject to gift tax rules. However, whether or not gift tax applies in a specific case will depend on the specifics of the situation, such as the amount of money raised and the relationship between the donor and the recipient. As I mentioned earlier, there is an annual gift tax exclusion amount which is $16,000 per recipient in tax year 2022. Gifts that exceed the annual exclusion amount may be subject to gift tax. But there is also a lifetime gift tax exemption that allows individuals to make significant gifts over their lifetime without paying gift tax. It's also worth noting that if the donations received by the GoFundMe campaign are intended to be used for a charitable or medical purpose, there may be other tax rules that apply. For example, if the donations are made to a qualified charitable organization, they may be tax deductible for the donor. In any case, it's always a good idea to consult with a tax professional to understand the potential tax implications of any gifts you give or receive. However, I know the average GoFundMe donation stays at least than $100 per transaction, so it may not be able to trigger the gift tax at all. You are correct that the average GoFundMe donation is typically less than the annual gift tax exclusion amount of $16,000 per recipient in tax year 2022. As such, most individual donations to a GoFundMe campaign are unlikely to trigger the gift tax. That being said, it's important to note that the gift tax applies to the total amount of gifts made by any individual in a given year, not just to individual gifts that exceed the annual exclusion amount. So if an individual made a large number of small donations to different GoFundMe campaigns throughout the year, the total amount of those gifts could potentially trigger the gift tax. However, as you noted, the average donation to a GoFundMe campaign is relatively small, so it's unlikely that many people would make enough donations to trigger that gift tax. It's also worth noting that there are many other factors that can affect individuals' tax liability, so it's always a good idea to consult with a tax professional if you have any questions about your specific tax situation.